Good evening, good morning, wherever you're at. I'm coming on today to talk about what the most suppressing things are. I just want to say nothing suppresses a person more than a careless parent. Yeah, what I mean is when children are young, parents have to be on it immediately. Whatever the situation, you have to make an immediate decision. Sometimes you don't have time to even think about what should be done or what the best thing to do is. So, when our children are young, when children are young, we make the biggest mistakes, I would say. A lot of times, we make the biggest mistakes. I'm going to say one of the biggest mistakes is thinking you still have time as a parent to hang and run the streets, leaving your children to fend for themselves or what have you. But we do what we know. I'll put it that way. We do what we know. And so we tend to make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Where the careless parents come in is making that the lifestyle of leaving the children behind. No support with school, no encouragement in sports or activities. I'm saying the parent is doing what the parent do, kids do what the kids do. And that's the way it is. The hinder, the suppression comes from not at least trying to push your child to be all they can be. Suppression of picking sides instead of hearing both sides. Automatically, one side is picked, and that's it. Favorite children, suppression to other children if you have multiple children. Now, as the children become adults, we would think the parent is learning more and would do better. But in some cases, when the children become adults, the parents, I want to say, become more spiteful, more careless. Um, well, I'm gonna say those two were pretty nail on the headish. But it's one thing when children feel like my parents don't care about me when they're young. But when the parents continue to treat specific children and in favoritism, black sheepish. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying it happens more often than people know. And we wonder about people. We have our questions without realizing how many people actually grew up on a whim, on the ledge, by sight, by the grace of God. I heard something about the lost generation. I have not really looked into the lost generation, the forgotten generation. Forgotten is really what I meant to say. The forgotten generation. You know what I'm saying? So I can't speak too much on it, but there's an era where parents did what they wanted to do. Now, my grandma, you know, I was the taste tester. She had everybody in the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? So I remember parents being at home cooking. They go to work, they come back home and cook. But then there's another generation that clubbed, did what they wanted to do. They hung out. Okay, well, I guess I've spoken enough on that. To the children, whether you are young, old, whatever it is, hold your head up, exhale, and understand you are not alone. You are not the only child who question what the heck is going on. But you have to do what you have to do for you, for your peace. Because one thing I realized, some people will not change. And you can tell them how you feel, and they'll still be the same way tomorrow. If they have temper tantrums and that they're comfortable with it, they're not going to change. If they like to blame people, you know what I'm saying? If they're not honest, if they are bent on being the same person and they have excuses for what's going on instead of really being honest about it, you have to do what you have to do for you. If they're not going to change, but one of my favorite quotes I heard back in the day, if you can't change the people around you, change the people around you. And I'm going to leave off with that. We all love our parents, but then sometimes parents get selfishness embedded in their hearts and they won't change because it's all about them. And that's the way it's always been. That's the way it's always going to be. I'm going to say this is a part because I will come back to this again. Good evening.